Introduction. Did you know that anxiety might be taking more from you than you realize? It's not just those sleepless nights or the gnawing unease in your stomach. It's the moments slipping through your fingers, the quiet dinners with loved ones when your mind wandered elsewhere, the conversations you didn't fully engage in because your thoughts raced ahead, the opportunities you hesitated to seize because of fear of the unknown. Anxiety doesn't just cost us time, it steals our peace and our potential. But what if I told you that the way we view anxiety is misguided, and that for over 2,000 years, a small group of philosophers has quietly offered a way to overcome this modern plague? Today, we'll dive into the wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that doesn't just acknowledge fear and anxiety, but shows us how to confront, reframe, and ultimately rise above it. The Stoics were no strangers to hardship. They lived through wars, plagues, and political instability, yet they developed practical techniques to transform anxiety from a crippling force into a catalyst for personal growth. The Stoics weren't immune to fear. They simply mastered the art of facing it head-on and using it as fuel to live a more meaningful life. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by worry, you're not alone. The Stoics stood where you stand, and they found a way to turn anxiety into an opportunity for growth. In this guide, we will explore 13 powerful Stoic strategies to conquer anxiety, strategies that have stood the test of time. So if you're ready to transform your approach to fear, keep reading. What follows is far more than just positive thinking or relaxation tips. It's a deep dive into timeless wisdom that will reshape how you face the challenges in your life. 1. Recognize what you can control. The first step in conquering anxiety, according to Stoicism, is recognizing the difference between what you can control and what you cannot. Anxiety often arises from our obsession with things that are beyond our power, future outcomes, other people's actions, or uncontrollable circumstances. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, emphasized this distinction. In his Enchiridion, he reminded us that the only thing within our control is our own thoughts and actions. External events are beyond our reach, but our response to them is entirely in our hands. How does this help with anxiety? By focusing on the things you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, you regain power over your life. Instead of worrying about what might happen, focus on what you can do in the present moment. This shift in perspective can significantly reduce the feeling of helplessness that often accompanies anxiety. 2. Embrace the present moment. Anxiety often arises when we're consumed by thoughts of the past or the future, leaving little space for the present moment. The Stoics understood the importance of staying grounded in the here and now. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditation, frequently reminded himself to focus on the present, understanding that it is the only time we truly have. When we dwell on past mistakes or future uncertainties, we magnify our anxiety. The Stoics teach us that we should focus on the task at hand, making the most of the present moment, which is where all action happens. By practicing mindfulness and intentionally bringing our attention to the present, we can reduce the noise of worry. 3. Reframe your thoughts. One of the most powerful Stoic tools for overcoming anxiety is the practice of reframing. The Stoics believe that our perceptions shape our experiences. If we view a situation as something to fear, it will invoke anxiety. However, if we reframe it as an opportunity for growth, we can reduce its power over us. Seneca, another prominent Stoic, often wrote about the importance of reframing how we view challenges. In his letters, he encourages us to see difficulties not as obstacles, but as opportunities to strengthen our character. When we embrace this mindset, we can begin to see anxiety-inducing situations as chances to practice resilience rather than events that threaten to overwhelm us. Practice negative visualization. The Stoics were known for their practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evil. This technique involves imagining the worst-case scenario in a given situation. By confronting the potential negatives in advance, the Stoics believed we could reduce the fear associated with them. Rather than allowing anxiety to spiral, this practice helps us prepare mentally for hardship. We come to realize that even if the worst happens, we are equipped to handle it. This exercise can greatly reduce anxiety by helping us build emotional resilience and a clearer understanding of what truly matters. 5. Focus on virtue over external success. Many of our anxieties stem from external pressures, society's expectations, the desire for wealth, or the fear of failure. The Stoics believed that true happiness lies not in external achievements, but in cultivating inner virtue. By focusing on being a good person, making ethical decisions, and practicing wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we remove the anxiety caused by external success or failure. This shift of focus, away from what others think and toward what we can control within ourselves, helps alleviate the pressure we often feel to meet societal expectations. It redirects our energy toward becoming our best selves, regardless of external circumstances. 6. Accept what you cannot change. The Stoic concept of amor fati, love of fate, teaches us to embrace what we cannot control, including the things that cause us anxiety. Instead of resisting or resenting circumstances, we learn to accept them as they are. The famous Stoic philosopher Epictetus often reminded his followers that everything happens according to nature, and that our peace of mind comes not from trying to control everything, but from accepting what is beyond our control. Anxiety often arises when we resist reality, wishing things were different. By accepting life's uncertainties, we free ourselves from unnecessary distress. 7. Use adversity as fuel. Anxiety is often rooted in our fear of hardship, but the Stoics viewed adversity as an opportunity. Instead of shrinking from difficulty, they embraced it as a tool for personal growth. When faced with challenges, they believed we could build strength, resilience, and wisdom. By reframing adversity as a teacher rather than a threat, we can transform the energy of anxiety into a force for positive change. When we view obstacles as opportunities, our anxiety diminishes, and we gain a sense of empowerment that propels us forward. 8. Simplify your life. One of the key teachings of Stoicism is simplicity. In a world that often promotes excess and complexity, the Stoics advocated for a simple life, a life free from unnecessary distractions and attachments. Simplifying your life can help alleviate anxiety by reducing the number of things that compete for your attention and energy. When we focus on what truly matters, our relationships, our work, our health, we free ourselves from the constant noise that contributes to anxiety. This Stoic principle encourages us to cultivate a sense of contentment with less and to focus on the essentials that bring peace and fulfillment. 9. Cultivate gratitude. Gratitude is another key practice in Stoicism. By appreciating what we have, rather than focusing on what we lack, we shift our perspective away from anxiety. The Stoics recognize that much of our suffering comes from longing for things outside our control. 10. Practice self-reflection. The Stoics were proponents of regular self-reflection. By taking time each day to examine our actions, thoughts, and emotions, we can gain better insight into the sources of our anxiety. This practice helps us identify patterns of thought that may be contributing to unnecessary worry and allows us to adjust our mindset accordingly. By being honest with ourselves about what causes us anxiety and why, we can begin to make intentional changes that lead to greater peace of mind. 11. Develop a Stoic routine. A structured routine can be incredibly helpful in managing anxiety. The Stoics valued discipline and order, seeing them as essential components of a calm and rational life. By establishing daily routines, whether through exercise, meditation, or mindful reflection, we create a sense of stability that can counteract anxiety. Having a routine provides structure in an otherwise unpredictable world, giving us something to focus on and control. This simple yet effective practice can help us reduce feelings of chaos or uncertainty, leading to greater emotional stability. 12. Seek wisdom in adversity. When anxiety strikes, the Stoics advise us to seek wisdom in the moment. Instead of allowing fear to take over, we should look for the lesson in the challenge. Every difficulty, no matter how painful, contains an opportunity for growth. By approaching anxiety-inducing situations with curiosity, we transform them from threats into learning experiences. Wisdom doesn't come from avoiding hardship. It comes from embracing it and seeking to understand what it has to offer. 13. Live according to nature. Finally, the Stoics teach us to live in harmony with nature. This means accepting the natural course of events and understanding that we are a small part of a much larger universe. By aligning ourselves with nature's rhythms, we can reduce the anxiety that comes from trying to fight against the flow of life. Living according to nature doesn't mean passive resignation, but rather recognizing that some things are beyond our control and that peace comes from acceptance of this truth. By embracing the natural order of things, we can find a profound sense of peace. Conclusion. Anxiety is a universal human experience, but as the Stoics teach us, it is not an insurmountable force. Through understanding what we can control, embracing the present moment, reframing our thoughts, and practicing gratitude, we can reduce the impact of anxiety on our lives. The Stoic strategies for conquering anxiety are not just ancient philosophies. They are practical tools for modern living. By applying these principles, we can transform fear from a source of suffering into a guide for personal growth. If you're ready to take control of your anxiety,